Hello, everyone. Jorge here with Avalos Cloud Native and Nexus Technologies. Nexus for binding together. Nexus from the Latin, from connecting. That's the meaning of Nexus. Nexus is being used everywhere. One of the first people or companies that I saw using the Nexus was when I saw the Nexus switches from Cisco. And now I saw these going Nexus everywhere. So I had to research what is the Nexus. Now you know. So welcome to my channel, Jorge here, where we teach cybersecurity, AI, blockchain, smart contracts, and pretty much everything tech. Okay. So in my previous videos or my previous playlist, I've been teaching about Git, GitHub, GitLab, and today's video is about blockchain. Okay. So what is blockchain? We made a video yesterday introducing the concept of blockchain right here. Introduction to blockchain and smart contracts. We'll give you a quick explanation, even for not technical people. You can get the concept of blockchain network. We also made another one about installing Docker, containers, and much more. So feel free to visit my channel here. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, so you could be up to date with the technologies that we are using here with my personal company, which is Lake Cloud Canada. It's a community for entrepreneurs and blockchain and smart contract cybersecurity. And this channel, we basically use it to attract people that is willing to change their careers or improve their careers, or maybe they want just to grow with a community, find a place where they belong. Maybe it could be the place where you wish to have a community or a teamwork that is willing to make the difference out there. So let's get started. So what are we doing today? So yesterday's conversation was about blockchain technologies. We explained peer-to-peer network, the ledger, centralized blockchains, decentralized blockchain, no middleman, right? When it comes to decentralized blockchain, the most common ones, frameworks for centralized enterprise blockchain. We talk about decentralized projects like Solana, Bitcoin, Sui, say, smart contracts, which are applications running on top of the blockchain, and much more. So today, what are we gonna do? I'm gonna explain you the tech stack. So we have a hypervisor here at home. This is a Dell R410 old server, okay? Type 1, right? And it is called Promox. That's a hypervisor. So in this server, let me just open this here. In this server, we are also gonna work with, we're gonna spin an Ubuntu desktop machine. In this case, 2204. Then we're gonna get Docker, and we are going to install everything that the Hyperledger framework for centralized blockchain needs. In this case, because everyone's using ChatGPT, and it makes things easier when you have the paid version. We're just gonna do the lab. We're gonna deploy a blockchain here, where you can start developing smart contracts and anything you want. You can customize your blockchain the way you want. Why this blockchain centralized has so much value? First of all, because you have totally control of the blockchain, right? No one is able to just come, plug in the package, and that's it. You are deploying smart contracts. You're interacting with the blockchain. Where in centralized, you cannot do that, but it still has the same value as a decentralized. Why? Because it's hard to break in. It's so hard to hack blockchain networks. Second, you have totally control of the peers or nodes that participate on the network, right? You can customize your blockchain by organizations, companies, people. You can have different layers of databases for the transaction logs and everything else. And that's why we think that in the future, a lot of companies will be moving to blockchain technologies. Why? Because it saves a lot of money. It saves a lot of money when it comes to hiring a lot of people, database people, networking, and much more. And a lot of companies will not be able to afford what we do here on Web 2 with routers, switches, databases, licenses for OS, developing and all that. Well, with the Cloud Underground, which is another company, which they develop a custom sandbox, which pretty much have everything. You have the entire IT operations in one box. You have the security operations center. You have the security information event management system in there. You have the patching system. You have the vulnerability scanning. You have basically, if you're coding, right? If you're coding and you have a team of people, we have something that they call the zero trust cockpit, where we're basically giving access to that computer and they develop in there. And the computer is hosted by our systems. And that code gets submitted to GitLab, all right, and it's being scanned to see if there is anything wrong with the code, or if the code probably worked or didn't work, or you need dependencies. So everything is custom based. Like, you don't need to spend $1 million finding the talent to develop the platform, and then to basically do the work. That's something else. So it's complicated stuff, and all these skills are on demand. And Cloud Underground developed this box they call the Underground Nexus. And we're going to be using this box. And anything that we develop will be inside there. And you know what? If you join us and you just want to deploy a blockchain, in the future, we're going to give you a button. Bam! You click the button, and it's going to deploy a blockchain in AWS, maybe in Alibaba, maybe Azure, and any public cloud platform, and private cloud too. Okay, will be home. We just want to simplify the process of deploying smart contracts, deploying blockchain technologies. So let's get started. So let's save this in here. Feel free to watch my previous videos, okay? So what are the requirements? So I was talking to ChatGPT, just like a person, right? So I asked, what are the requirements, step-by-step guide of how to deploy the Hyperledger, right? Hyperledger Fabric, we talk about it. It's a centralized framework. It's a framework for deploying centralized enterprise blockchain. The history of this framework, I think IBM started this framework, right? There is also documentation over here, which I will share in the link. And in here, you can find all the steps that you need to deploy, or the prerequisites to deploy your first blockchain, okay? So I will share this link, hyperledger-fabric read-the-dots.io. It will be here in the section of my YouTube video. Okay, I'm gonna move myself over here. Let's move this over here. And let's get started. So pretty much all the steps that this website, the official website, is telling me to do, I'm gonna skip this for now. And we're gonna use ChatGPT and go from there. So what are the prerequisites that this framework is asking me to install before I deploy the blockchain? So let's take a look. So first of all, it wants Ubuntu 18.04 or 20.04. Well, I think that I have, here's my hypervisor. Let's take a look. This is my hypervisor type 1, hosting, containers, and virtual machines. Remember, this is my school. This is your school. This is where we talk a little bit of everything for you to get the terminology: hypervisor, cloud native, Kubernetes, Docker, containers, blockchain, AI, right? So we got Ubuntu 24.04. So if I want to see the console of this machine, let's see what's going on there. There you go. I have a GUI, right? So this is the GUI version. I didn't have to launch anything, but I also have an SSH connection, which is basically a secure tunnel using port 22, right? You may ask, what tool are you using? Well, I'm using PuTTY. And I'm going to restart this session. I'm going to log in here. And in the previous video, I did install Portainer, right? Portainer is right here. What is Portainer? Portainer is basically a graphical user interface application that will let you manage your Docker containers, right? So let's take a look to that, this environment in here. So if I go home, I'm gonna click in here. It says here I have 2 images and 3 networks. I got 2 containers running. One of them is basically the hello world for testing to see if the Docker installation work, and we have Portainer running, which is also a Docker container that will let you manage all the containers that we're going to deploy. Okay, images, we only have two, the Portainer one, and we have the hello world. Okay, so we already have Docker installed. Okay, so operating system, we know we're using Ubuntu 2404, which is the latest version, right? We're gonna try and see if it works there. Then we're gonna install Docker. We had Docker already installed in the previous video. We had Docker Compose already installed. We do not have Go programming. We do not have nodejs. We do not have npm. We do have curve. I did install that one. We don't have get either. Okay. So first of all, this thing is telling us to operate everything. So let's run that command in here. All right. We're gonna update all the repositories. Any software that is installed in any software or applications or libraries will be updated to the latest version, and we go from there. What's the goal? What's the goal today? We're trying to deploy a blockchain in my server home with a hypervisor type 1 with the hypervisor name called Promox. And then from there, we deploy already Docker and Portainers. So Docker, the engine for us to be able to work with containers, and Portainer, which is also a container that will let you manage all the Docker containers. So we are basically starting almost from scratch. So you say install Docker. I don't have to do that. I don't have to install Docker Compose. I already have that. And for those asking how I did all that, just in case, let me see if I find the Docker. Yeah. So how I did this, I actually did it by using, there's two simple commands that will let you install Docker in like no time. Okay. And it is called install using the convenience script. So you basically run these two scripts and pretty much you're done. There's some other steps that you gotta do after, right? On the next page, if you want to. So you add the user, you add a user to the Docker containers and all that. You give it some access, and that's it. You can follow this, but documentation is there. You basically automate Docker to start right away. So anyways, let's go back to ChatGPT over here, or you can go back to the Hyperledger Fabric. It doesn't matter. I think once you practice and you have some common sense, you can figure this out. And that's the whole point, learning. So we do not have Go programming, okay? So I guess that's the only thing missing. So let's install Go programming. So this is gonna do it's gonna pull the Go programming. It's gonna set up a path. That's it. So let's execute this command. Okay. There you go. It is installing Go programming. I may do Java 2, JavaScript, and some others, right? So, and then what I can do after, maybe I can just, this machine could be, you can bootstrap it, and this machine can have anything you want to start developing, right? So you can pull it from one of my repositories and have the full OS with everything that you need. Or you can maybe make a container for every single application. You can have a container for Go programming, a container for Rust, a container for this. And then you basically cluster all your applications. But we'll get there. This is just the beginning, right? Let's verify the installation. Okay. Looks like we are using Go version 1.17.5. Okay. Okay, what's the next step? The next step is to use nodejs and npm. Okay? So let's install those two. One is a framework. Okay. Deprecation warning. Node.js 14 is no longer actively supported. You will not receive security or critical stability updates. Wow, so that's good to know. You should migrate to a supported version of nodejs as soon as possible. Okay. Let's see what else is telling us in here. So it wants us to go visit the site. Maybe it will do it itself. I mean, so it wants us to basically use another command. I thought that this was going to give us something great. I guess we can investigate. I'm going to let it run for a second here. We can always open these commands. So let's open this one. And the one on the top was sending us to another. This looks like there is different versions. We'll run the main command and for nodejs, and it may do it on his own. Either way, once you are installing the Hyperledger, it will tell you, listen, I cannot keep going because you have a deprecated version. So we'll do this again. That should update a lot of stuff. Okay. And I would love to see nodejs install latest package and see what it can come up with. So we want to install on Ubuntu. Let's put here Ubuntu Linux. And then I want to install it using not Docker, but just a normal version. Okay, install no version manager. Looks like there is a manager. Download and install Node.js. Okay. And here are all the commands. So let's see what else it shows when I show this in here. Install fast node manager. Okay. Brew, that's for Mac computers, and the Docker version too. So I guess we can have a Docker version only for Node. We're gonna have those environments ready for you. So it says I can copy this on a clipboard and I can install the Node version manager. But I'm not going to get there right away. I want to see if there is another way. So here, pre-build install, I want to type here Linux. It doesn't let you do anything. Pre-build binaries. Okay, looks like that may be the latest version, 10.8.1. I'm going to type here Linux source code. Nothing in there. Okay, it says Node.js include the packaging manager, npm here. So let's click in here and see what we find. There you go. This is npm. It tell us the whole source code. So let's go back and see what else we find. We're just exploring here because once you're working with coding Hyperledger or any developing environment, you're always going to find something that they call the matrix of hell, where you're doing this, okay, now it requires one version of this, one version of that. And then you want to work something similar but in a different infrastructure or a different version of anything. Then you got to customize that for that. This is exactly what we do here. We help you to automate all these processes. So let me see what do we here. Let's put in here how to install Node.js latest version on Ubuntu. So you do research, you do your work, and then what you do next? You automate, you test it, you play with, you test it, right? We have a version over here from the last year. You can also do it this way. Let me just type in here. It looks like you could do installing Node.js. Okay, so I guess you can run this. So in here, it was telling us to verify the installation, okay, of nodejs. Let's see what ChatGPT was telling us, okay? So we did go programming, and then we can run here node and npm. Let's see what version do we have right now. We just installed it, right? We got version 18.9.1. And looks like we don't have the npm package yet. So I'm going to rerun these commands to install the latest version, because I don't know which one is the latest version yet. And this is what we're doing. This is part of the developing environment that I'm going to set up here for our community of blockchain and smart contracts and much more. So we already did nodejs. It didn't install npm, but now we have a command over here where we're going to install nodejs again. And so far we were having version 18.9.19.1. I'm going to run this in here and see what happened. I'm going to ask for no version again. Same version. So I don't think nothing happens in there. Now let's install the npm because it didn't install it. There you go. I'm going to pause this for a second because it looks like it's going to take a long time. I'll be back in a second. Thank you very much. All right, so it looks like we're done installing the npm. Okay, so let's see what else it wants us to check for the version. What version of npm do we have? Version 9.2.0. By the time we're making this video, it is iOS 8 2024. And then if you want to switch, install different versions, there is a process for that too. Okay, so that's actually really important because there is always a different version that you were working on, and maybe you need to change a feature on your application, and then you need to decide if you're going to upgrade the application or update the application, or you just gonna build it from scratch with a totally new packaging system. It's all up to you. A lot of testing is required, and GitLab is good for that. So what else are we gonna do here? It's asking us to see the npm version. All right, so I think we're good here. So let's go back to ChatGPT. We have Node.js, yes. We have a curve. We have curve. We got get to, right? We can run these two commands into these commands. It doesn't matter. I already installed them, but you know, just to play with. So now we can install. Install and download the Hyperledger and the Docker images. So it says clone the Hyperledger Fabric sample stories. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna say here print working directory, and now I want to make a new directory. Okay. Make it there. I'm gonna say Hyperledger. Okay. Now I'm gonna say ls. Hyperledger should be right here. Okay. Golang is right there. Looks like I have to execute that after, decompress it. So now let's navigate to the Hyperledger. Yeah. What is in here? There is nothing in here. Nothing. There's nothing in here. All right, sounds good. So print working directory, you will see where we are. Now it wants me to basically clone that repository from Get. Okay. So I'm guessing that this repository is the same one that I will show you right here. You see, it says Fabric samples Get. So it will come over here to this repository on GitHub, and it will pull all these files in here, right? And you can develop a smart contract using Go, JavaScript, TypeScript, and Java. So this is something you can read. I'm going to share these links too. So let's run what's next. So what's next is to pull the repository. And I'm going to do it here on that folder or directory that I just created. Now it's doing it. Okay. Now let's do ls. Now we see all these folders or directories that you were seeing here. GitHub, asset transfer, asset transfer. If you come over here, right, it says asset transfer, basic events. See, basic events. That's how it works. So you're learning a lot. You're learning the prerequisites to install a Hyperledger framework by using hypervisor on Ubuntu machine, Docker containers, using some basic commands, how to pull repositories, and much, much more. And now we are about to deploy a blockchain here. I don't know how many videos I'm going to do about this, but I'm doing all the basics. Okay. So what is this after that? So we pull that, and now it wants us to go here, right? CD fabric samples. All right, so let's take a look. Oh, looks like I'm already there. It took me there because I run the full command. So if I see print working directory, I'm already on the fabric samples. Okay. So let's see what is next over here. Download fabric binaries and Docker images. All right. I'm wondering where this Docker image, I have to find that link, but either way, I'm gonna pull this. It doesn't say to go to another folder or directory. So this is gonna install the binaries for the peer and orderer. So a peer or node is sending data storage, smart contracts. These are the computers participating on the network, and they're basically Docker containers. And the orderer is something like, I think it's a person who basically dictates how you connect to other blockchains or other nodes. Okay. So let's run that in here. It didn't say here to go somewhere else, so I'm just gonna run it right there. But I also want to know what is inside there. So the samples. Ah, okay. I know what happened. Okay, so what about if I want to pull these Docker containers somewhere else, just to have control of what's happening? So if you go back to Hyperledger folder, there is nothing in there, right? So maybe here I can create something new, okay? Because I don't want to mix everything. So let's try to create something in here. Make it there as a, and you're gonna type peer orderer, and then we can say Docker containers, right? Because that's exactly what this thing is gonna do. And then we're gonna say peer. There you go. Now I'm going to pull these images in there because I want to know how they look like. I've done this before last year when I was deploying the smart contracts and blockchain networks, but now it's time for me to actually, I have a team now, I have a community, and we're gonna do a lot more just on the Hyperledger Fabric. We're gonna do a lot. We're gonna add things. We're gonna add AI. We're gonna customize it our way. We're just gonna make it beautiful. Let's run that command. All right, so it is cloning the Docker images and all that. There you go. Now it's doing the Docker images. I may be able to see. I see the link in there. Docker.io Hyperledger Fabric Peer 2.5.9. So it's pulling that one, and it's pulling the orderer. So you see the orderer, the peer. What is it doing here? It's using I don't know which one is this one, right? And then when you come to Portainer, instead of having 2 images, we should have more now. I have 6 now. Let's click in there. We have the order, latest version. We have the base. We got Portainer, and we got the peers. Nice. Nice. There you go. We have everything that it did in here. All the versions too. All the versions. And the CA is a certificate authority, which is going to assign certificates to your peers or nodes so they can participate in the network. Without that certificate, which is basically the whole concept of blockchain, which is encryption, you cannot participate on a private blockchain, enterprise blockchain, unless you are in the decentralized blockchain, which you just download some packages and anyone can be part of the network. Which some rules, right? Sometimes they ask you to put some money down, like Ethereum. Ethereum, you need to put 32 Ethereum down for you to participate or have a node or peer in the network. So what's next? Let's go next in here. Set up the Fabric network. Okay, so I show you here how all these containers are in here now. So we got a total of, let me go back to images. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 7. And in here, which is the same thing, it did install 2 different versions. 1, 2. Let's do it by product, basically. The peer, order, number 2, 3, 4, 5, which is correct, right? Because we were having 2, now we have 5. So what I see in here that this is installing 2 different versions for each, 2.5 and 2.5.9 containers. Well, I guess maybe it's condensed into one version somehow, but it makes sense because we only have 5 containers. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go to the next step. Now it is time to basically set up your network. So navigate to the test network directory. Okay, one has to go there, see Fabric. Okay. And let's do, if I can't, you gotta go back to, there you go. I'm on the right directory now. And now it's time to bring the network up. I can't believe this. Like, I never saw myself implementing blockchain and especially enterprise networks, centralized networks, blockchains online. And for me, it has been one of the best decisions to be teaching, learning, and connecting with communities and creating products and businesses and ideas that it can become reality. So we're about to bring the network up online with you, and this is exciting. So by experience, I know that you can bring the network up using Go. By default is Go, but you can add Java. There's a command where you run and you can run the Java version. Okay, which we can do in another video if you want to. You can even switch. You can switch your network from being Go to be able to develop in Go or Java. It's all up to you. For the same network, you don't have to start over. Okay. So now in here, bring the network up. All right, let's do that. Let's see what's gonna happen here. I'm gonna click in here. I'm wondering, I'm not really sure because I put all the packages in a different folder, right? I didn't follow the steps. I want to see if it's gonna look for those networks. Actually, in fact, this is what I will do just to avoid any problems. I'm going to basically, we already did this step, right? I'm gonna pull down all the Docker containers and the Fabric on the same path where we were before. So I'm gonna go back one step. I'm gonna pull the same thing in here, right? Same step that we did before, but I'm gonna put it on the right folder because it may be looking for that and we don't have it. So there you go. It's all up to date. Looks like we have it there, so good. So let's go back to the folder that we created where we have the peers and all that. CD ls. Okay, let's go back another one. Bring working directory. Okay, in here we created a new directory. So I want to know what is inside there. Fabric samples. It had the same thing. Same thing. It creates another folder called Fabric samples. So if I do this, same thing. So if I navigate there, Fabric samples, ls, you have everything. So I guess I did this twice. So let's go to the original version. I guess you can just spin one version. There's an extra step in there, but that's okay. So they wanted us to go to Fabric samples and then to go to test uh, test network. Right now we are back to this step. So now in the correct path where we started over, we are going to bring the network up. So what is it going to do? It is going to execute a batch file called network in this path. So we can look for this path. We can say ls in here, and we should be able to see that network. So what is it? Chain code network right here. So this is what we are going to execute, and it's going to bring the network up. Oh, let's copy this in here. Let's do network sh up. Okay, 1, 2, 3. First time doing this live. I haven't done this in a while since I used to work with my networks or blockchain last year. It is exciting because this is going online on YouTube. And my community, as soon as I have this lab ready, I'm gonna give them access to my lab, right? Using a zero trust cockpit. And I'm gonna measure, I'm gonna evaluate, I'm gonna scan, I'm going to approve everything that they do in our sandbox developed by Cloud Underground and their main asset or the main product, their creation called the Underground Nexus. Ooh, 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Error. All right, there you go. Was so excited, but we got something in here. So let me see what this is saying. I cannot read this the beginning, so I'm just gonna copy all this. Now I come over here. Let's see. Send Docker and Docker Compose. Starting nodes with the CLI, timeout, 5 tries. It's a database. Crypto from pre-binary configuration file not found. Okay, now I want us to follow some instructions in here. So I'm gonna pause this video real quick in here while I do some quick troubleshooting, okay? All right, so I found the problem. So because I pulled the binaries in a different folder and the Docker containers in a different folder, it didn't want to do that. So it did start all the containers. So what I'm trying to say here, I'm gonna show you, okay? So first of all, let's read in here. So it says here, network fabric task created, the volume created, the compose order created, the peer compose created, the container, everything looks like it went good. There's an error in here. Error response from daemon. Driver fail programming external connectivity on endpoint order example. Okay, port is already allocated. So someone's using the same port for some reason. So everything looks like it started here. Container ID. And most like it, I think this one didn't start it. It says created, right? And which one is a daemon, which is like a service that is actually failing for some reason. So I'm thinking that order has to start too. So maybe next time, just don't do what I did. So what I did was this. So let's go back to the main path. Oh. So sorry. See. So I created this folder, right? Print working directory, which is on the desktop. Okay. So from here you do ls. So what I did, I was working on the Fabric samples, but I did created another folder, and it was in here where I pulled all the Docker images and the binaries. And then when working over here in the Fabric samples, which I also pulled all the binaries and Docker containers, I was having an error. It said I don't like that. So now I went back to the peer order Docker container and I run the command there to bring the network up, and that works. So if we go back to Portainer, let's go back to Portainer over here. Now we have containers running, but we still have a problem. We still have a problem. Okay, and what's the problem? That we don't have the order running. It says created in here, and even if I want to start this from here, I don't think that I'll be able to spin it from here. So you can start from here and see what happened, but it is failing for some reason. Okay, so at least it is good learning. We're gonna get this going for sure. And I'm wondering, I can just start over in another session, because this is just a test, right? We're gonna deploy this blockchain properly. We're gonna have Explorer. We're gonna have smart contracts. We're gonna have an environment for people to deploy smart contracts in here. But in the meantime, I'm wondering if I can still deploy, because what happened is the problem was allocating the binaries in a different folder, right? So I'm going to try to do that in here too. But in here, I was supposed to pull all the binaries too, which are the containers. This one here. I'm going to do this again in the right path, okay? Because this is where it wants it to be. It's pulling everything in here. Okay, great. So from here, it wants me to go to the test network. Okay. And then from here, you're supposed to run that command that was giving us errors, where you bring the network up. This one here. Maybe we want to do this with Java after. Let's take a look and see what it does. Maybe it will give us an error again. The thing is, we need to identify the new containers and the old containers. So what we could do, maybe we can change the name a little bit. Can we change the name? Duplicate, edit. Let's put it here, number 1. So we don't get confused with the old and the new stuff. So how can I save this in here? Importainer. Oh, let's move this over here. No, I'm just gonna go back and see if it makes a change. No, it doesn't like that. Compose. All right, I'm wondering what port this wants to use. So I'm going to, maybe I'm just gonna delete all this. I'm gonna delete all these containers, start over. It doesn't matter, it can't do it again. So I'm gonna say delete. We're only gonna leave Portainer. There you go. We only have Portainer. Now I'm over here on the right folder where I did reinstall the binaries and Docker containers. And again, don't do the same mistake that I did, creating another directory, putting the binaries over here. Maybe that bash command, it wants to basically spin everything from the right folder. There you go. Looks like it's working here now. Okay. I still have an error with connectivity. I still did. So I guess that could be normal. Okay. Well, we'll find out later on. So let's go back to Portainer again. I had the peer running. I had 2 peers running, 2 organizations, organization 1, organization 2, but the order is not working. So I gotta find out how come this is not working. And this is the fun part of designing, making, architecting, playing around with tools and stuff like that. You learn so much. So for now, because I have already 44 minutes in here, I'm wondering if there is something that I need to do that I miss to make the compose, the order not working. So I'm gonna check all the basic documentation over here. This is kept for Windows, nothing in there for me, right? Install the fabric. It's making us to create a new directory, right? The install the script, pretty much everything that ChatGPT give us. And then install. It wanted us to run the script with H. Option to see option. Oh, just to see the options and what components I wanted to install. You can do it to use Docker to download the Fabric containers images, but man, the binaries. I guess you can do everything manually, but we did everything all together. And then to install the containers, we did run that command, install fabric.h docker. Is which version you want to install. You can choose what version too. I guess we could do the same too. We can choose which version since we know what version, right? We can always go back there too. This is the command basically that we're running. Let's go back. Let's go next. Okay. The other one is just when you're going to start using smart contracts or chain code, how they call it. Oh, here it is. They're running again this test network. Okay. And then they run this command, the one that we did. So it's also some help over here, know how you use it. You can check the network down. You can put it up again, right? Creating the channel, starting the, yeah, we're looking for the orderer. Maybe there is a special configuration for the orderer. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop here because I'm going to do some research. But I see here, this is the result that you should be getting. So we did create the container images. And it says here that the order is up, right? But in our network, the order is not up. So this is what we do. We develop, we automate, we test it, and these kind of things don't happen when you are, it should not be happening when you are in production, right? That's why you do testing. You have people to be testing, automating, developing, and improving, making it beautiful every day. All right, so nice video here. Thank you very much. We are about to bring our first blockchain up, Hyperledger Enterprise. I'm gonna have all of you to be here deploying smart contracts using Java, Go, TypeScript, and we're gonna customize custom enterprise blockchains for private companies or private sector. And you could be number one. We're gonna be number one deploying smart contracts and centralized blockchains, and also decentralized. Everything tech. That's what we are here. And we're going to combine our nodes. We're going to protect them with anti-behavioral, an antivirus, behavioral products, maybe a data loss prevention product, and much more. We're going to bring our Web 2 experience into Web 3, and we are going to do what no one else does out there, right? So cheers. Thank you very much. Enjoy. I hope you enjoy this video, and have a good night. Until then.